Okay, Amanda Kerper, back for your post-observation.
Yay.
Yes, last time I saw you, we were here at this very table doing a pre-conference.
Memories.
Memories, that's right. So now we're doing our post-observation. We've had our observation. We've even briefly talked in the halls or outside your room. A couple things we sort of touched base on, but today will be kind of where we sort of kind of go through the process and kind of talk about what was going on, what we liked, what we didn't like, areas to grow, things you felt good about. So kind of the full gamut. So, so when we think back on your lesson, when we observed it, it was regarding vocabulary and grammar and speaking and writing about their educational career. So you brought in this real world. And so tell me how you felt like overall. How did you think that it went? Now, to preface that ahead of time, you mentioned that you wanted to kind of observe specifically transitions, and there's a lot of things that we saw. But so in that context, what did you think? Anything really, for that matter. How did you think things went?
I think things went just, if I could just say, okay.
Okay.
They just went okay to me. In my head at the time, I thought it was less than okay. Yeah. But now what's made it okay is I've collected some data on a specific writing piece that they worked on in class that actually shows really good data. And so now I do feel better about pieces of the lesson that I had thought weren't going particularly well.
Right.
I would say overall the things that I had, there were probably only 2 things I felt didn't go as good as they could have. Yeah. And how I know how I could have and did correct one of them. The first thing I wasn't feeling so well about was that I had set up like stationed activities to get students who I noted one piece of their CFAs were missing or needed to be retaken. And so part of the lesson was that I gave them an activity that they had to complete before they could retake it, because it doesn't do them any good if I just hand them the retake if they didn't have any relearning or if I didn't try to do some sort of reteaching strategy. Yeah. So I gave them the redo, and then they would turn in the activity and do the redo. So that was really good. Like, I liked that I just determined that with the data that I had and the students that I could not, the amount of students that I needed to be in seminar and couldn't get, I just decided I had to do it inside of my own 4 walls of my classroom, and that was the right decision. The only thing that kind of went bad with it was, since it was the first time I had tried that specific thing in my classroom, it was kind of messy. Like, I was like, here's this, here's that, how about you sit over here, let's move these desks. And it went kind of sloppy, but as the day went on, I actually streamlined it quite a bit more, and it was effective because I had students that retook 2 pieces versus just 1, and they were sitting in groups, and they were being really productive because I knew how to structure it to make it more productive. The only other thing that I had felt kind of defeated about was a little bit of student behavior, specifically with the student who refused to acknowledge me or be redirected no matter what I tried. Tried to give him the supplies he needed, nothing. Tried to be gentle about it, nothing. No eye contact or anything like that. Yeah. So.
Well, I initially thought that when you talked about the behavior and that kind of stuff, that it was right after Election Day, politically charged, a lot of emotions going around, and so I thought you did a really nice job of redirecting them back to the content, which is something that we do have control over. And, so I wondered if some of that was in regards to that, but I think you did.
Potentially. Yeah. And that's why I kind of prefaced I knew that would be happening, so I tried to preface the lesson with, I know there's a lot of things going on right now, there's a lot of talk in the school, and but, you're welcome to talk about anything political, but it cannot be during this instruction. There's a time for that, and if you choose to participate in that manner, go ahead. Otherwise, we have to get started. So I tried to tell them that, I think, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah. Kind of reframe their thinking a little bit in the context of what you're trying to do.
And then the other thing, I guess, that I was kind of proud of is the students that didn't have to retake had choice-based activities. Yes. And they actually did better as a class with the choice-based games than any other class. Right. They turned in their work for it and everything like that, and the other classes were not holding themselves accountable for the work. But this class did. The kids that didn't have to retake, they did pretty well overall.
Well, I thought it was really interesting how you had intentionally thought about the different needs of your students based on how they performed on the previous CFA, and then the ones that needed enrichment, you had these academic games to some degree, but they were practicing those vocabulary words.
I even tried to level those too. So I had one of them that was just for kids who were like, I still need the vocab, I can't do the other game. And then the
Right.
kids that already had the vocab, I
Yeah.
gave them a different game that applied
Yes.
the vocab to the grammar concept.
Right.
So I tried to do that. And so I think that was pretty effective because they all turned in
Yeah.
their sheets on that and everything was correct.
Mhm.
So
Well, I think it allowed you to, because you'd spent the time in your planning and prep to set that up, it allowed you to walk around and kind of monitor, and help and aid them, in the context of what they're doing. So that was good to see. So if we could go back to the idea of like the transitions. So you mentioned that you felt as the day went on, we kind of caught up a little bit after the fact that we talked about this. As the day went on, you changed some things so that those transitions, because again, you're like spinning plates, right? You got retakes on CFAs based on their level of
and
deficiency.
it was
Or
4 different CFAs
Right.
too. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
a CFA. It was a
Right.
CFA that was broken
Yeah.
into 4. I guess that was
Oh,
quite
yeah.
the
Practice attempts, and then you also had the idea of there's enrichments going on. So in the context, we felt like that, so the transition was a little bit hairy, so to speak. How did you fix that throughout the course of the day?
Okay, so the things I did to try to fix making it less like
Because you're aware of it.
chaos was after they left, I just immediately, because it was MTSS after that, and so I immediately just arranged the desks already so I wasn't trying to have these lopsided
Yeah.
groups. And then I put the activities out on them, and so
Okay.
then I told students when they were coming in, if you know you have to retake, which they knew who had to retake, I just told them to sit anywhere in the 4 lumps, and then I said, if you know you don't have to retake, go ahead and sit in the back of the room. So
Right.
I just immediately sorted them out into their groups instead of having them get up and move around with the different kinds of retakes around. Then when they came up to me, I didn't allow them to all just storm me and be like, which piece, which piece? I had them stand in a line, and I had the piles ready to go, and I very quickly read their name, looked over at the chart, and handed them, this activity is what you're gonna do. Sit down there. And then I told them, once I get everybody seated, if you can start working on your activity with no direction, go ahead and do that. If not, wait till everyone's seated and I'll come around to each group and tell you. And that's what I did. And then once I got them going on their activity, then I passed out the activities for the enrichment kids. And I explained it to them. And they took off for the rest of the block. And then I came back to the other kids and got them going on retakes.
And did it seem to the degree that you wanted it to have the effect?
Yeah,
Okay.
because when I looked back through the numbers, even though each class had about the same percentage of students that needed to retake, more of them got through it in 7th block than 6th block,
Right.
and then even more of them got through it all in 8th block than 7th block. Like
Which I
I
thought
had
was an
stats
interesting
of, the
observation.
piles got bigger,
Yeah.
so which means I
Right.
feel like I was getting them through what they needed to get through more effectively.
Did you feel like you're more efficient with your time?
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot more.
Okay, so that's good. So you ironed out some of those hiccups, so to speak, in the context of how do you manage things a little bit better. So that's good. As far as how did the timing play out? Last time we observed you, we noticed that there was, some people getting done at various points. How did the timing work out as far as them getting done